Hey, my subject is the school system of America. I'm Guy Williams.
Cooper Cook.
And I am Weston.
Timberman.
So basically, I have a couple sources that say that the school system has stayed the same since the 1980s. There's basically when school was basically invented, then in the 1800s and such, we basically came up with what we currently have right now, which is the K through 12 system, where we have like 3 in the middle school, 4 in the high school, and then I think it's like 6 in the elementary or something like that.
It all depends.
Yeah.
On the different schooling, but yeah.
And that came out in the 1800s, so it's still the same since then.
Why did they originally come up with the system?
Because basically they were doing one classroom type stuff. So it was one classroom and they were all still being taught the same stuff. So then one fellow came about and then changed it to where you would go through the grades and then you would get taught something different at each level instead of all, like you could have an 18-year-old.
It gets progressively harder.
Yeah, 18-year-old, 14-year-old together learning the same stuff. So changed that. And so basically that got changed. But there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be changed. Like right now they're gearing us towards factory jobs. I mean, you know, the 8 to 5.
Yeah.
And such things as, you know,
And
not
factories back then when are they teaching everybody the same thing? You don't get to do what you. I mean, like when you get to high school, you get to have a little bit of a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But like growing up, is it just so kids can find out what they want to do? Or?
Well, okay, so
that's what needs to change.
So what you're saying is that basically look at how the 1980s were as compared to now. It's a completely different world.
Exactly. Technology has changed.
Yeah. You don't necessarily need a degree.
Mm-hmm.
You're
groomed to.
You're saying that we need to innovate to be able to keep up with the times.
Exactly.
So we're basically going through a school system that prepares us, for
the 1980s.
For the 1980s,
yeah.
Right? And there's so many different ways to go about it nowadays, but we're still stuck in the same schooling system.
Exactly.
And they don't teach us about the things that we need to be taught about.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We go through the stuff about science and like your basic stuff, but then they don't expand onto like the real world type stuff that we really need to know going into the outside world.
Like say you do a job. I mean, we're getting taught stuff right now that's like, okay, there was a war in the 1800s. Why do we need to know that for a job?
Well, yeah, like I understand the point that they like. You need to know the history. Like you need.
Yeah, I think it comes to a point where you need to know the Constitution. You need to know that stuff. But
don't spend an entire year on it. Go over it and then.
Have you looked into Elon Musk's school at all? Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
So he created his own school, and he brought his kids, and he's brought in some other kids. It's probably got about 20 kids. There's not very much right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought in a few teachers from his kids' school that had the same concept as him, is basically learning what you want to learn. It's like he's explained, and it's proven now with his school. These kids are learning what they want to learn, and they've given them recess time and options, and they do not want to go to recess because they're so interested and excited for school that, I mean, they want to be there. Most kids dread school every day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Another thing is how we're not getting taught stuff that's good for us in the real world, such as taxes, how to do your taxes, how to budget, how to set yourself up financially. And I think that's harming a lot of students nowadays.
I think to cover that a bit more, we do have classes like tax and stuff like that, but I mean,
it's not required.
No, it's not a required class. I mean, you can take it, but on paper, watching Alicia do her taxes, I mean, it's just like it's not working. The teacher's very inexperienced on that. Not tied to a specific teacher, but they don't know everything about it. There's just kind of one of their side classes, elective class that they just teach. You know?
No, what do you mean by Alicia?